Good, oh, that woke you up, didn't it? Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for the first Doctoral College Research Showcase event. We're really delighted to welcome you. Thank you to everyone who's with us in person in the Greenwood Theatre, and welcome to everyone who is joining us online this afternoon. It's a real privilege to introduce this event. My name is Nigel Eady. I'm Director of Research Talent at King's, and I run King's Doctoral College. And as I said, this is our first research showcase. We've been running the 3-minute thesis competition for many years, and this is the first time that we're combining that with a new images of research competition. So we're hoping this is going to be a regular event in the calendar year on year. Thank you for joining us for the first of these, and we hope you'll have a really fantastic afternoon with us. This event is really about celebrating doctoral research and doctoral researchers, and we're delighted to have doctoral researchers from across all 9 academic faculties at King's involved either in the 3-minute thesis final that's going to be happening shortly, or in the images of research competition. And you'll be able to see the posters in the exhibition space upstairs at the end of the 3-minute thesis final. Just to give you a sense of what's going to be happening, the 3-minute thesis final is going to run over the next 45 minutes or so. We're delighted that after that, Professor Bashir Al-Hashimi, who is the Vice President of Research and Innovation at King's, is going to speak to us briefly at the end of that, and then that will go into a networking time for the images of research competition. And we're going to wrap everything up round about 5:20, when we're going to come back in here and we're going to announce the winners of those 2 competitions. And there should still be a bit of time after that to hang around, to network, to chat. I guess there are a couple of reasons we're running this like this afternoon. I think communication and engagement skills are absolutely crucial for all of us, whatever career or walk of life we're working in. They are really important for researchers. If any of you progress further into a research career, your ability to communicate the value, the importance, the significance, the impact of your research is going to be really important, whether you're writing research papers, whether you're speaking at a conference, whether you're trying to get funding to do the research you want to do. But actually those skills are really crucial beyond academia, beyond research as well. And those are just some of the reasons that we run these competitions, to give you a chance to dip your toe in the water of communicating about your research, to prepare you for the future career you have, whether it's in an institution like King's or whether it's somewhere else, whether in the UK or beyond that. When we established the Doctoral College a couple of years ago, we had a number of workshops with researchers, with academics, with other people across the university. And one of the things people told us was that the Doctoral College had a really crucial convening role in bringing people together across all our academic disciplines and our professional services directorates. So that's yet another reason that we're having this event today. And I really want to encourage you to make the most of the opportunity. Like I say, there's going to be some networking time after the 3-minute thesis competition. Part of that is a chance for you to look at the images of research that are upstairs in the exhibition space, but it's also a chance to network and to chat to one another, to meet people from other parts of the university whom you might not otherwise meet. So I really encourage you to make the most of this opportunity today, to give your wholehearted support to all the researchers, whether in the 3-minute thesis competition or in images of research. And thank you again very much for joining us today. I just encourage you, please do stay for the whole event if you possibly can. I know all our finalists would really appreciate your support. So that's enough from me at this stage. I'm going to hand over to Lillian, who's going to introduce 3-minute thesis and who's going to compare the rest of that competition for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nigel. Hello, everyone. Welcome one and all to this year's 3-minute thesis grand final. It's so great to see so many of you have us join us in person. And it's to all the people, to friends, family, and colleagues who are joining us online as well, very warm welcome. So I am Lillian Odaro. I'm a Doctoral Student Development Officer within King's Doctoral College, and I'm your gracious host for today. And thank you so much. That is very encouraging. Thank you. I just wanted to say that I've had the privilege supporting the organization of this year's 3-minute thesis, working alongside brilliant colleagues within the Doctoral College. And I've also had the opportunity to be a semi-finalist judge for the second time in a row. And I must say that it's been a thought-provoking and inspiring experience, because being a semi-finalist judge meant engaging with a semi-finalist, so engaging with their research, their creativities, their ideas, but at the same time maintaining an objective lens. So I truly commend our 10 finalists for making it this far, and I would ask that you also give them a round of applause. Fantastic, thank you all so much. You're a very eager crowd. So what's the 3MT about? So the 3-minute thesis is an annual research competition that challenges doctoral students to communicate the complexities of their research clearly, concisely, and in a way non-specialists can understand. And our 10 finalists have challenged themselves to communicate what we ordinarily be presented in like 10,000 words, accompanied with data, pictures, quotes, and many more, and presented to our audience in just 3 minutes. So it's by no means a small feat, because can you imagine a book, a big textbook, and imagine condensing the whole message in just 3 minutes? So I truly commend their efforts. And moving on, the way the 3MT is going to work. So each finalist will present their research using just a single static PowerPoint slide and only spoken words. And our wonderful judging panel will judge each finalist based on 3 criteria. So the first one is substance, which is what they say and the content of their talk. And the second one is engagement, professionalism, and enthusiasm. So in other words, how they deliver their talk. And then finally, the PowerPoint slide. So how will our finalists use the PowerPoint slide to enhance and complement their presentation. So after I will introduce you to our judging panel now. I don't want to get ahead of myself because it's very exciting. So we have, first of all, Nigel Edie, the Director of Research Talent, Research Management and Innovation. And next we have Ellie Gurney, the Senior PGR Manager within the Faculty of Social Sciences and Public Policy. And next we have Nick Tachel, the Research Operations Manager within the Faculty of Arts and Humanities. And next we have Laura Johnson, a careers consultant for researchers within the careers and employability. And finally, we have Mubarak Yakubu, who is a current doctoral student and our previous King's 3-minute People's Choice Award winner from the Faculty of Life Sciences and Medicine. So also give our judges a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you so much. So after the finalists finish the presentations, the judges are going to pick the Judges Award winner and runner-up. And the winner of this year's King's 3-minute thesis 2026 will go on to represent King's at the national competition. But the audience will have an opportunity to get a slice of the cake, because after the presentations, well, I would welcome you to vote for your People's Choice Award winner. So I encourage you, while the presentation is going on, think of who captivates your imagination, piques your interest, because you have an opportunity to vote for your favorite at the end of the presentation. So I've said quite a lot, and I'm going to give the stage back to the stars of the show, who are our finalists, and would introduce them. So thank you very much, all. Okay, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our first finalist, Anna Melati from the This is great. I like this kind of encouragement. Let's keep it going. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to come again because it's a very enthusiastic crowd. So Anna Melati from the Faculty of Life Sciences and Medicine with their presentation, Race Against the Dying of the Light.
I want you to look at these images. Tulips in a spring garden, a lizard watching the world go by. Vivid, sharp, full of colors. Now, watch them disappear. On the left, retinitis pigmentosa. On the right, macular degenerations. Together, they affect nearly 200 million people worldwide. Over 3,000 different mutations. And for most of them, no treatment exists. And here is why. At the back of your eye sits a thin sheet of tissue called the retina. It is made of many different cell types, but the ones that are actually responsible for capturing the light are called photoreceptors. And in these diseases, photoreceptors die. Slowly, irreversibly, and without anything to stop them. But here is what gives me hope. When photoreceptors die, the rest of the retina survive. The inner wiring, the cells that carry the signal to the brain, they're still there. They're just waiting. So what if there was a solution? What if we could actually replace the missing piece? In my lab, we take human stem cells and over several weeks, we turn them to become retinal organoids, miniature version of the human retina growing in a dish. From these organoids, we isolate the photoreceptors and we inject them back directly into the retina of a blind mouse eye. And what we find is remarkable. The transplanted cells settle exactly where they should be. But we do not just look. We measure the electrical activity of the retina directly, and we see responses to light returning in retinas that have been completely silent. We test the mice behaviorally, and we watch them track moving patterns with their head, something that a blind mouse, well, simply cannot do. So these cells are not just surviving, they're actually working. And this is what my PhD is about. Using high-resolution microscopy, I am mapping exactly how the retina rebuilds itself and connects with these new cells, asking not just whether if reconnection happens, but how. We now have a promising evidence that the recipient in the retina is able to remodel and connect with these new human photoreceptors, supporting the wider application of photoreceptor replacement therapies. Together, this finding proves something that we are becoming increasingly confident about, that photoreceptor replacement therapy is a viable strategy for the treatment of retinal degenerations. And this does not depend on genetics, because we are not fixing a mutation. We are replacing a cell. One therapy for nearly 200 million people. The vision that was lost, we might be able to give it back. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. That was brilliant. Thank you. Next, we have Dushyanthy Pillai from the Faculty of Social Science and Public Policy with their presentation, From Teaching Peace to Co-Creating It.
Thank you. Imagine you're sitting in a classroom after a war that has shaped most of your life has finally ended. You're told that peace has returned and that conflict belongs to the past, and that what you learn in the classroom will help ensure it never happens again. This promise lies at the heart of peace-building education. The belief that if you teach right values and knowledge, peaceful behaviors will follow. But my research asks a different question. What if peace is not simply taught? What if students help create it? To explore this, I worked with more than 100 students in schools across post-war Sri Lanka. Using discussions and arts-based methods, I wanted to understand how young people experience civic education as peace building after war. And what I found out challenges a common assumption. Students don't passively absorb lessons about social cohesion and citizenship. They question it. They reinterpret it. Sometimes they resist it altogether. Lessons designed to promote unity, for example, sometimes even have the opposite effect. For example, the image on the left is the civic education textbook vision of a Sri Lankan society. Story being told. So I asked students to create their own images of society. And the images on the right, created by students Sahla, Jahesh, and Sashini, tell a very different story. One where women and children are visible. Ethnic diversity is celebrated. And children aren't simply inheriting society, they're actually helping to rebuild it. This reveals something important about peace-building education. Peace is not simply taught. It is interpreted and negotiated through students' own experiences of community, culture, and belonging. This matters because when students can't see themselves in the national story being told, peace-building risks excluding the very students it's attempting to feel a part of the story. So my research makes this argument. If education is to contribute meaningfully and legitimately to sustainable peace building, we must involve students in reshaping it. And this changes the way we think about educational reform after war, not as something done for students, but with them. Students like Sahla, Jahesh, and Sashini aren't simply inheriting society, they're already reshaping it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dushyanthy. That was brilliant. Okay, so next we have Jade Bowden from the Faculty of Life Sciences and Medicine with their presentation, From Red to Green, a color switch to track cancer cells.
What if you could tag cancer cells to see where they go, what they do, and how they behave within the body? What if you could tag the very cells that hide from treatment, survive, and spread? My research aims to find and track these dangerous cells. Many solid tumors experience low oxygen, which is known as hypoxia. And cancer cells that experience hypoxia are more likely to be resistant to treatment and more likely to spread throughout the body. To study this, we have created a system that tags cancer cells so that we can see which ones have experienced low oxygen. And it works like a color switch, from red to green. Under normal oxygen conditions, the cells glow red. But when oxygen levels drop, they permanently switch to green. And importantly, they stay green forever, even if the oxygen levels return to normal later. This means we can study the cells that have experienced hypoxia at any point in their lifetime, and it enables us to study important questions of, do these green cells spread more easily? Are they more resistant to treatment? And are they causing cancer to progress? There are two parts to this system. First, the color switch from red to green, and the second, a unique marker that's only found on these green cells. You can think of it like a selective doorway that allows certain detectable molecules to enter the cell. And by giving these molecules access to the cell through this doorway, we can use medical imaging techniques to see where these cells are throughout the body. Cells are located. We can see where they travel and how they interact. And this provides us new information about how exposure to low oxygen contributes to treatment resistance, tumor progression, and cancer spread. And by understanding what makes these cells so dangerous, enables us to develop new treatments that can potentially help cancer in the future.
Thank you so much, Jade. That was brilliant. Next, we have Bo Yu from the Faculty of Natural, Mathematical, and Engineering Sciences with their presentation, Making 6G Greener.
Imagine you are watching videos, making video calls, or attending a virtual meeting. What most people don't realize is that every click, every stream, and every wireless connection consumes a huge amount of electricity behind these daily scenes. As mobile networks evolved from 2G to 5G, power consumption has increased dramatically. Now we are moving toward 6G, a network expected to deliver faster speed, ultra-low latency, and billions of connections. But there is a serious challenge. If we continue with today's network designs, the power consumption will also. So our research aims to focus on the key question: can we make 6G both powerful and sustainable? One of the most promising technologies for 6G is called cell-free massive MIMO. Instead of connecting users to a single base station, future networks will allow many distributed access points to cooperatively serve them. This approach can significantly improve coverage, reliability, and user experience. However, to achieve these KPIs, the network requires many hardware components, especially off-chains, to stay active simultaneously. And these components consume a lot of energy. If everything stays switched on all the time, the environmental impact of 6G could become unsustainable. Our research aims to solve this problem by making the network smarter. Using graph theory and artificial intelligence, we develop methods that allow the network to decide which connections are truly necessary, how many off-chains should remain active, and which ones can temporarily sleep, and how to reduce power consumption without sacrificing performance. You can think of it like a city street light. Instead of keeping every light on all night, the system intelligently turns lights on only when they are actually needed. By doing so, we help to make 6G networks that are not only faster and more intelligent, but also greener and more energy efficient. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bo. That was brilliant. Thank you. So next we have Denis Sofrenovic from the Faculty of Life Sciences and Medicine with their presentation, a metallomic imaging approach, tracking copper from the micro to the macro scale.
Imagine a big metropolitan city where basic infrastructure allows it to grow and become even bigger. Roads, power grids, and tall buildings. They all need building material to function. Roads need tar, power grids need wiring, and buildings need stable rivets. What if I told you that the metal copper is one of these factors in your body that make sure that your cell roads are paved, your cellular power grids are secured, and your buildings are structured? Measuring changes in how copper biology influences biology falls under the term metallomics, which is the study of metals in health and disease. Cancer has been long associated with copper, where cancer cells take up more copper in order to promote optimal tumor growth. Essentially, research has also shown tremendous promise with a new line of chemicals called chelators, which capture copper and hold on to it real tight without letting go. These chelators can starve tumor of copper, compromising its infrastructure and therefore stunning its growth. So the tumor roads are corroding, the power grids are failing, and the buildings are becoming unstable. In my PhD, I intend to answer the age-old question, once the chelator catches the copper, where do they go? Because research only understands the effect, but not the mechanism of these chelators. I have different imaging techniques at my disposal in order to look at the microscopic and macroscopic scale, how copper and chelator move through a living system. I can zoom into single cells using a high-resolution microscope, here represented as an image, as a building, where I can then observe how this chelator operates. I want to know, once the chelator catches the copper, what happens to the copper? Does the chelator just flush it down the toilet or lock it in the basement? Does the chelator look for the copper systematically, like a police raid, starting in the foyer and finishing at the rooftop? Does the chelator even find all the copper, or is there any hiding place where the copper is out of reach for the chelator? Answering all of these questions will allow me to paint an image of which core cellular structures are becoming the most vulnerable when you remove copper from its infrastructure. This can open new treatment opportunities where we target those exact vulnerabilities and then improve treatment response. Moving on to the whole body level, once the chelator catches the copper, where do they both go? Where are they taken? Do they go to the liver and the kidney being excreted? Being able to track how copper and chelator moves through the body will allow me to predict side effects and also efficacy of this treatment. Drawing a map of copper chelator movement through the microscopic and macroscopic scale will not only benefit science geeks like myself who are very interested in copper biology, but will hopefully open new windows of treatment opportunities for cancer patients. Traditional treatment looks at vulnerabilities that can be targeted, but in this research, we are trying to force the tumor to develop vulnerabilities by removing one of its most important infrastructural components, which is copper, and then target those exact vulnerabilities with more specialized chemotherapy in order to improve patient care. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Denis. That was brilliant. So next, we have Ruth Tebo from the Florence Nightingale Faculty of Nursing, Midwifery and Palliative Care with their presentation, Fair AI-Enabled Support for People Living with Breathlessness.
Do you remember the last time you ran for a bus or pushed yourself during a workout? That tight chest, pounding heart, gasping for air? Now, imagine if that feeling didn't fade after a minute. Imagine it followed you through your day. For 75 million people each year, breathlessness isn't just a temporary inconvenience. It's a prison of anxiety and lost control. And for every 20 A&E visits, at least one is because of breathlessness. But here's the kicker. Many of these patients are stuck in a revolving door, back to hospital again and again because the support they need at home isn't there. Then there's the inequality gap. If you live in a deprived area, are older, or from a minority ethnic background, you're more likely to struggle with breathlessness, more likely to return to hospital, but less likely to get a clear diagnosis. We know breathlessness support services work. They help people feel more in control, but they are almost always available face-to-face, and we simply do not have enough specialists to reach everyone. This is where my research comes in. As you can see, I'm adapting the specialist service into an AI-enabled app, a digital bridge connecting a patient to a carer and clinician, so support doesn't stop when one leaves the hospital. But this isn't the one-size-fits-all app. Most health tech is designed for the average user, often leaving the vulnerable behind. I use AI to study thousands of hospital records to identify patterns in people visiting A&E with breathlessness. With this, we can predict who is at highest risk of returning and tailor the app support to them. It's about moving from one size fits all to this size fits you. I know you're thinking it, AI, but not to worry, because the AI outputs are validated with clinicians. The app also makes breathing techniques and exercises available in multiple languages and formats. It also provides telemonitoring, helping to identify flare-ups early, escalate care, thereby acting as an extra layer of support at home, giving people practical tools to manage a frightening symptom that often makes them feel powerless. Similar NHS models have helped reduce A&E visits by up to 60%. My goal is to make breathlessness support fair and accessible, especially for people often excluded from digital health, which is why I'm designing the app together with patients, carers, and clinicians in a process called equity-centered co-design, so it works for real people in real homes. By combining AI with equity-centered co-design, we can close the digital divide and ensure no one is left gasping for help. Not just managing breathlessness, but also giving people more control, more confidence, and more of their lives back. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruth. That was brilliant. Thank you so much. Keep the energy going. And next we have Yuri Jang from the Faculty of Life Sciences and Medicine with their presentation, Diffusing the Landmine.
Imagine waking up every morning to a skin that feels like it's on fire. It's red, itchy, and swollen. Oh, not just for days, but for months or even years. This skin condition is called chronic urticaria, and it actively tortures 58 million people, which is equivalent to the entire population of Italy. To better understand what's driving this agony, let's imagine your body as a fortress with an elite security force, your immune system. Scattered around the walls are landmines, ready to detect any incoming threat. In your body, these landmines are called mast cells, and they are found all across your skin. Each mast cell is packed with a chemical called histamine, which is basically an alarm signal, but it also causes itching and swelling in your body once it's released from mast cells. So when a real threat appears, the landmine detonates, histamine floods the area, triggers an alarm, and recruits other immune cells. And that's a good thing for a defense. But the problem for these 58 million people is that their landmines have a hair trigger, and they go off when they shouldn't. Right now, our first-line treatment for chronic urticaria is antihistamines to relieve the symptoms. They simply mop up the histamine after the explosion has already happened. And for more than half of all patients, their symptoms keep coming back, meaning the treatment fails. My research focuses on the root cause and asks this question: why is the landmine so easy to set off in the first place? By studying the genetics of chronic urticaria, I have identified this specific gene that acts as the mast cell's internal brake. Once the mast cell begins to fire, this gene kicks in to dampen the signal. And in many patients with chronic urticaria, this brake is broken. Currently, I'm mapping exactly how this single gene controls the detonation threshold, and crucially, how we can fix it by identifying this gene as a molecular switch that we can reinforce. This matters because it gives us a target that we've never had before. Instead of mopping up after the blast, we can fix the brake and stop the landmine from misfiring. For millions of people whose lives are defined by the pain of this condition, this is transformative. It's not just relief, it's a solution. Because the best way to handle a landmine isn't to survive the blast. It's to make sure that it never goes off unnecessarily. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I must say you all are quite an enthusiastic crowd, so thank you. So next we have Christopher Ogunlowo from King's Business School with their presentation, We Broke Up, They Wouldn't Let Go. What happens when you try to cancel a digital subscription?
About 5 months ago, I tried to cancel an online subscription. It took me a while before I could find the cancel button. And when I found it, the platform asked me if I was sure that I was going to cancel. I said yes. They asked me to give a reason while I was canceling. I gave my reason. At some point, they offered me a discount option so I could change my mind, which I rejected. By the time I got to the 6th page of that process, I realized I was going through something close to a difficult breakup. And that experience is what informed the metaphor that led to my title. We broke up, they won't let go. Is there anyone in the room that can relate to this experience? Exactly. So this reality inspired my research, in which I'm looking at what happens at the point where you and I try to cancel our subscription. We know, for instance, that companies spend billions of pounds, billions of dollars to acquire customers for very obvious reason, and they will do everything they can to retain us. But we know little about what happened at the most critical window, which is a point where we try to initiate cancellation. And while I was doing my initial findings, I found that companies deploy different types of intervention. And I've narrowed down to 4 of the most popular ones. So for instance, they could offer you the pause option, which in a relationship concept, it can be like, you don't have to leave, you can just take a break. Or it could be change of plan option. This is when they try to tell you, maybe you don't want to go, you want to downgrade. And that sounds like, don't go, can we still be friends? Or they offer you the safe offer option, which is when 10% discount and change your mind, or 25% discount, change your mind. Or my favorite, which is what happens when I try to cancel on my gaming platform, which is Value Reminder. They're trying to remind me of what I stand to lose if I cancel. And in a relationship context, it sounds like, remember the good old days. So all of this intervention led to 2 critical questions that I'm looking at in my research. Number 1, which of them is the most effective in retaining customers? And secondly, what are the psychological mechanisms that explains their effectiveness? And I think my research is very timely and very significant, because by spring next year, the UK government will require platform to make the process very easy. That sounds like good news, but it means that platform will have to look for ways to retain customers without trapping them. And so my research aims to be a playbook that ends up becoming like a win-win situation that explains the retention side of the equation and the subscription side of the equation. And ultimately, the plan will be that you and I, and even the platforms that we use, can ensure that we end up having a more meaningful, a more optimal digital experience. And the relevance can be cut across ethics, consumer protection, and even for businesses as well. And ultimately, when the playbook comes up, hopefully we can all have a more digital experience. And that is my breakup song. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Christopher. That was brilliant. And next we have Megan Lawrence from the Institute of Psychiatry, Psychology, and Neuroscience with their presentation, The Power of Remembering Together, Collaborative Recall and Memory Across the Lifespan.
Imagine this. You visit the science gallery with friends, and a week later, someone says, "Do you remember that exhibit with the Guardian statues?" Suddenly, another person remembers what colour they were wearing, and someone else remembers the conversation you had beside it. Together, you reconstruct the experience. My PhD asked the question, how does remembering with others impact memory, especially as we get older? Most memory research studies people in laboratories using lists of random words or pictures, but that's not how memory works in real life. Real memories are social. We remember experiences we have together, like birthdays, holidays, or conversations. This matters because as we age, episodic memory, our memory for personal experiences, often changes. This affects more than just how much we can remember. It affects how we relive experiences from our lives, how we feel about our memory, and how we interact with others. So, finding ways to support memory in older adults could help preserve not just what people remember, but how they relive moments from their lives. So, in my PhD, groups of younger and older adults visited a gallery museum together. Over the next 12 weeks, the groups took part in 3 discussion sessions where they remembered the experience either together or individually. After each session, we also tested how everyone's individual recollection of the event changed over time. We measured not just how many details people remembered, but the quality of those memories, how rich they were, and how strongly people felt they were re-experiencing the event. At first, the results looked surprising. Groups working individually actually recalled more details overall than the collaborative groups. But when we looked at memory quality, collaboration showed clear benefits. especially for the older adults. Collaboration also influenced what people remembered afterwards as individuals. Older adults who previously remembered collaboratively produced richer narratives and increasingly felt as though they were re-experiencing the event. Meanwhile, older adults who repeatedly remembered alone showed declines in both memory detail and richness over time. So collaboration may not help us to remember more, but it may help us remember better. And that matters because memory is about more than just how many details we can recall. Richer memories allow us to mentally relive experiences rather than simply recalling facts about them. This is important for our well-being, social connection, and sense of self. This suggests that everyday conversations with friends and family may offer a simple, natural way to support memory as we age by helping us continue to vividly re-experience moments from our lives. So remembering with others is about more than simply recalling the past. It can bring moments back to life in ways which we cannot achieve alone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Megan. That was brilliant. And last, by no means least, we have Sneha Chotaliya from the Faculty of Dentistry, Oral and Craniofacial Sciences with their presentation, The Point of View.
Young lady, you need to change your point of view. That's what my teacher told me in high school. And somehow, 17 years later, I'm still learning the same lesson in my PhD. Let me show you how. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a mountain valley, and you're trying to see how far it goes down. You're straining, but you can't see the bottom, just like on the slide. You can only see the opposite wall. Now, if I asked you to measure the depth of the valley from where you're standing, your answer would be very wrong, because you'd be measuring across the valley, not down it. Now keep that thought in your head. Now imagine you're standing on your tooth and you're surrounded by tiny holes, tiny valleys. And these have been created by acid. Acid in your diet, acid in your drinks, perhaps acid that has come up from your stomach. And the acid has carved out these tiny holes in something that we called toothware. Now, because these holes are tiny, you need an intraoral scanner, which is almost like a selfie stick. And it can glide across your teeth, and it creates a 3D digital model of your teeth. Now, because it is a 3D digital model of your teeth, you can see it from any direction, which means someone might see a 6, someone might see a 9, just as the analogy goes. And so the point of view matters, because the whole will look completely different depending on where you're measuring it from, just like at the valley. And that's exactly where my research comes in. My research is looking at how the angle at which we measure these holes determines how big, deep these holes appear to be. And so I measured these holes from the bird's eye view, but also from multiple other angles as well. And what I found was that looking at the hole from anything other than the bird's eye view will make the hole appear smaller. The volume will be underestimated. And so, teacher, I'm so sorry, it's only taken a whole PhD to understand. So why does my research matter? Because in dentistry, we're using measurements to see how far the tooth wear has progressed. Get the angle wrong, and we risk acting on the wrong information. And this isn't something that your dentist can just do a bit of trigonometry and fix. And the current software doesn't correct for this either, but my work does. And so just like at the valley, the angle that you measure from determines the answer that you get. And in dentistry, that could be the difference between losing your tooth and saving your tooth. So it turns out that the point of view matters to every single tooth in this room. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sneha. And now I would like to invite all our 10 finalists, if you can please come on the stage. This is your spotlight. I know you're wondering. I'm not going to ask you to present again. I just invited you, so if I can ask the audience to please give them another round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you. You all have done a very fantastic job, and we're so proud of you. And you can please go back to your seats. Thank you. So now is the time for you, the audience, to have a slice of your cake. So it's time for you to vote for your People's Choice Award winner. I told you you'll get this opportunity, so now is your time. So there's a QR code on the screen on the right. Ooh, quick responses. So as we're getting our votes in, I would like to bring this year's 3-minute thesis grand final to a close. And it's been so amazing listening to all the presenters, the finalists, and I commend them for the amount of effort they've put into delivering a fantastic presentation. And it's a brilliant showcase of the depth and breadth of the doctoral research happening at King's. And once again, congratulations. I keep congratulating you guys because I know it's not an easy feat. I've done a PhD myself, so very well done. Congratulations once again. And thank you so much for joining us in person. You've been the most brilliant audience. Thank you for your enthusiasm. And for those that watched us online, I know you are as enthusiastic as our audience here in person. Thank you also very much. And please give yourselves a round of applause. And so for those of us in person, we will be announcing the Georges Award winner, like Nigel said earlier, and the People's Choice Award at the prize-giving ceremony later, I think about 5:20, if I'm correct. Yeah, fantastic. So finally, it is time for me to drop the mic and take a step down from my hosting. I'm grateful for the opportunity to host, but I want to give you two brilliant people at King's the opportunity to take the floor for me. So finally, I would like to invite Dr. Nigel Edie and Sir Professor Bashir Hashimi to share some reflection and final thoughts. Thank you all so very much, and I look forward to next year.
Lillian, thank you very much. And thank you to all our amazing 3-minute thesis finalists. I'm going to be very brief. I'm going to hand over to Professor Sir Bashir Al-Hashimi. Bashir is the Vice President for Research and Innovation at King's and has been a very passionate supporter of doctoral research, not least sponsoring the establishment of the Doctoral College at King's. So we invited Bashir to say a few words. I'm sure he has things he wants to talk about, but we particularly asked him to perhaps tell us a few reflections about the impact of artificial intelligence. It's a topic that Bashir has been talking about a lot recently, both within King's and without, and we thought you would enjoy hearing from him some of his current reflections on how AI is going to impact the world, and maybe particularly the world of doctoral research. So Bashir, over to you. Thank you so much.
Nigel, thank you. I want to start by congratulating the 10 finalists. When I walked in, I started to wonder whether I'll be able to compete with any of them, and the simple answer is no. So what am I going to keep you here for? As Nigel have said, that I want to share with you some reflections based on my own experience as a PhD student many, many years ago, and where I believe technology is going. You may not agree with me. You may agree with me. You may have different views altogether. So looking back 3.5 decades ago, an emerging technology such as mobile phones and the internet started to appear. That was the time when I've just finished my PhD and I went to industry. And the focus of industry, deep tech, we call them now, was very much how do we design digital technology that can be embedded in small devices which allow humans to make phone calls. That was really the beginning of digital mobile phones. So the focus was very much is how much computations is needed to do something useful. And computation here being making a phone call, decoding speech. And the focus was very much how much energy a device can afford to do this. And the target was a mobile phone that works for a day and then you charge it the following day. That was the target. And I was really at the forefront of that technology. And that's why I have got a lot of recognitions 2 decades later. I did not know that the work I was working on will actually make that impact, because I was a young PhD graduate who was obsessed with solving a difficult scientific and engineering problem. We did not think for 1 minute that this technology is going to transform the way we work, the way we live, the way we shop, the way we travel, and everything else. We have not thought about society at all. We have not thought about environment at all. And then what we realized later on, like you did, that every mobile phone has got a lot of natural resources, and that has got implications on environment. Every time you use social media, it may not be as positive experience as one wanted to. So we did not really think about the social aspect of it. We did not think of the environmental. We just focused on the technology. Now what we got is AI. And it is very likely AI will be the most transformative, disruptive technology ever created by human beings. And why do I say this? We've already started to see AI is changing the way we learn, the way we think, the way we make decisions. This was not happening with mobile phones. Mobile phones, often they are here to work with us, for us. AI is so intelligent, it can replace us. And that is a key differentiation. So AI has got 2 sides. It's got the opportunity side and the risk side. The opportunity side, if we embrace it, and if we design it in an ethical, responsible way for the benefit of society, we will be able to accelerate discoveries. We will be able to provide personal care. We will be able to reduce inequality in education of our young people. If we get it wrong, by over-relying on it, you'll get the opposite. So you may be saying to yourself, well, what you have said so far, nothing new, and I agree. So what is new? I think the way forward is a partnership between humans and machines. And I have deliberately put this slide, it is part of a presentation I do, where it is carefully crafted. It's not written by a large language model, it's actually written by myself. I've been in this country 48 years, and at times, the way I construct sentences, it does give the game away. I am not a native speaker of the language. So if you pay enough attention to the words I have put here, you may spot it. So this is definitely not an LLM-generated text. So this is where I think it will go. It's almost impossible to draw the line between what is artificial intelligence, what's a human intelligence. The intelligence, the artificial intelligence performance is increasing every 6 months. When ChatGPT was launched in November 2022, it was not able to do what is it doing now. I think that will continue. You may be asking the question, should that happen? I don't think anyone has the power to stop the $1 trillion AI labs in the US, and some of them in the UK now, to move towards artificial general intelligence. I think this is likely to happen, and because of that, it is almost impossible to draw the line. So if that is the case, then humans will not retain cognitive superiority. But I think what I'm also saying is science depends more than just on our cognitive capacity. It requires curiosity, creativity, judgment, and it moves beyond computations towards sustainable innovations. And these are human responsibilities. So what I'm advocating to you here, that we need to design a partnership between humans and machines. And 3 things needs to happen. You must have domain expertise. Large language models generate answers in seconds. But unless you have your domain expertise, you will not be able to judge whether what you've been given is correct or not. So domain expertise is key. For those who are close enough to this, will say, what about hallucinations? Well, hallucinations of large language model, it is not a bug. It's a feature. And in a way, having hallucinations is what gives a human a chance. Because if you have your domain expertise, you will be able, hopefully, to judge with what you've been given out by a large language model is correct or not. So I think domain expertise is going to be key. The other skills we need is critical thinking. Critical thinking, it is implicit in STEM and in health, but it is explicit learning outcome in humanities and social science. And critical thinking here is essential because large language models are so powerful. Unless you engage with them intelligently, and that's not just your intellectual ability, but also to communicate the way you frame your questions, the way you interrogate the model, the way you critique the outputs, that requires critical thinking. It is almost like working with someone who you don't trust to start with, but you're willing to develop a partnership. And that trust comes from, I will ask the tough questions. And these are not just technical questions. You are looking for, are they biased? Do they provide you different perspectives? Do they justify why they have arrived at these solutions? Do they tell you what assumptions they have made in reaching that? So I think critical thinking is going to be really important. And adaptability here, it's very much that we're going to need, as humans, to adapt as large language models and AI develops further. I am a heavy user of large language models. Initially, like many of you, if you have experienced it, you'll be overwhelmed. You just cannot stop from asking questions. But you'll get overwhelmed. So now I have adapted to the stage where I will only engage with large language models when I have got something specific to ask for, or where I'm interested in something which I know very little about, and I was a large language model just to give me some ideas, then I will go back and check them against proper references. And this adaptability, the way I work with large language models now is different from the way I have worked to start with. I think adaptability, and I don't have time to go through this because I'm sure Nigel wants me to stop. I think the PhD supervisions of the future will involve large language models. We will move, I think, I will bet on it. Most of you as PhD students are using large language models already. So I have got a diagram where I'm saying we need to move from a two-way supervisions where first, second supervisor and PhD students working together to a large language model which sits right in the middle. So supervisors need to be trained in the use of large language models. Supervisors need to manage that complex relationship between a human and large language models. That three-way supervision arrangement, if you're interested in it, I will share my slides with you. Just email me and I'll share that with you. If we do not move to a three-way supervisions, PhD students will rely so much on the large language models, the supervisors may not be relevant anymore. So you may be asking yourself the question, do supervisors still need it? I think they do, because they bring wisdom, they bring experience. I am using a three-way supervision model in my own research group. So I want to leave you with my final remarks here. If you are using large language models already, Nigel will share with you a link where there's a very short survey. Please tell us how you're using it, what you're using it for, what you would like, what you don't like. That information is going to help us to decide how we're going to embed large language models in our research and PhD supervision going forward. If you are embarking on a career because you are reaching the end of your PhD, then please, if you are building models, if you are building product around AI, make sure they are ethical, responsible. And on that note, I will stop. I wish you all the best, and I really hope that you'll be able to complete the survey so that we could make King's at the forefront of AI-enabled research. Thank you.
Thank you, Bashir. We really appreciate your engagement and your input this afternoon, and we will share a link with you to the survey that Bashir mentioned just a few moments ago. So we are transitioning now from the 3-minute thesis competition to the images of research competition. If you go out of this room to the foyer, I think upstairs, you will find the 35 or 36 images that are the finalists in this competition. You've got about 45 minutes or so to network with people outside. There are refreshments if you're physically here in the building. Please do meet some new people. If you're here with people you know already, can I encourage you to say hello to other people, and in particular to engage with the finalists in the images of research competition. If you're online, we will be sharing a link to the images online, so you should still be able to see those images even if you're not physically here with us in person. And also, additionally, the posters are going to move to Bush House during August. So if you've enjoyed seeing the posters, please do encourage your peers and your contacts within King's to go and look at the posters in Bush House in the next few weeks' time. And we will obviously be sending out more information about that. I think the only final thing for me to say is we will be making an announcement round about 5:20. If you can gather back in here, we will be announcing the winners both of the 3-minute thesis competition and the images of research competition. I'm going to let you go in a second, but finally I just want to say a very big thank you to Ben, to Lillian, to Ola, and a whole host of other people in the Doctoral College who've made this afternoon possible. So if you can put your hands together for them, that would be wonderful. If you can stay with us, please do. If you're not able to stay with us, thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, we will see you outside with refreshments and posters. Thank you. Thank you so much for promptly coming back into the lecture theatre. This is the fun part of announcing the winners of the two competitions. I'm going to kick off by announcing the winners of the 3-minute thesis. You won't be surprised to hear that it was quite a difficult choice coming to decisions about the winners of 3-minute thesis. There were some absolutely wonderful presentations, both in terms of what people communicated verbally and also the quality of the slides. I'm going to announce 3 winners of 3-minute thesis. I'm going to announce the People's Choice winner first, then I'm going to announce the runner-up, and then I'm going to announce the overall winner, who will go forward to the national semi-final. But I'm going to start with the People's Choice winner. If the winners want to come up, we've got a certificate for them. And I think we will probably be taking a photo, he says, looking at the photographer. Yes, that's what's going to happen. So the People's Choice winner, and my apologies for poor pronunciation of names, the People's Choice winner is Sneha Chotaliya with her presentation, The Point of View. Piece to co-creating it is Dushyanthy Pillai. And the 2026 overall winner of the King's 3-minute thesis competition with their presentation Diffusing the Landmine is Yuri Jang. So a big congratulations to all our winners, and I'm going to hand over now to Professor Rebecca Oakey, who's the Dean for Doctoral Studies, who runs King's Doctoral College with myself and Professor Peter Heather, and she's going to present the prizes for the Images of Research competition. Rebecca.
Thank you very much, Nigel. It's a difficult act to follow, in part because I have to keep putting my glasses up and down. And somebody printed out the words really small for me. I don't know who that was. Extraordinary. So, now we have prize giving for our inaugural, because it's the first one, Images of Research Competition. There were 36 entries, fantastic, that were shortlisted from 69 altogether by a panel of independent expert judges, and their rankings were used to identify our category winners and runners-up and the overall competition winner. Firstly, I'd like to invite the runner-up for the Sciences, Maths and Engineering category, Helen Cunningham-Johns with The Hidden Beach. Congratulations. Thank you. Well done. Next, I'd like to invite up the runner-up for... Oh, he knew I was reading the wrong one. That was really... It's in my head. And the winner of the Sciences, Maths and Engineering category is Lauren Woodcock with The Midas Touch. Congratulations. Well done. Next, I'd like to invite up the runner-up for the Arts and Cultures category, Timna Kren with Labouring Together. Oh, stripping hazard. Did you? Well, congratulations to both of you. There you go. And the winner of the Arts and Cultures category is Annabelle Ali with Shrinkage. Don't trip. Congratulations. There's your certificate. Feels like I've got an ice cream. Next, I'd like to invite up the runner-up for the Health and Natural Environment category, Tara Best with Blue Dandelions. Congratulations. There you go. And the winner of the Health and Natural Environment category is Leah Fogarty with The Encoding of Disease. Congratulations. Well done. Here we go. Next, I'd like to announce the runner-up for the People and Societies category as Ji Shi with Testing Out the Mountains, Climbing China's Educational Ladder to the Big City. So I think one of their collaborators is coming to collect it, Suzanne van der Pol, and you're going to collect this on behalf of the winner. Thank you very much. Congratulations. And the winner of the People and Societies category is Neana Demel with The Drowned Forest Where We Fish. Unfortunately, they're not in attendance today, but we will put that aside and give her a round of applause. And lastly, but by no means least, I'd like to invite up the overall winner of this year's King's Doctoral College Images of Research competition, who is Holly Whitcomb with Innocent as a Lamb. Squeaky. Was it actually you squeaking, or was it someone else? Congratulations.
Thank you
well
very
done.
much.
Congratulations. You're so much taller than me. This is going to be a really funny picture. So I would like to just thank all the competitors and say congratulations once more to all the prize winners. So a nice big round of applause. So there is still time to cast your vote for the People's Choice Award if you haven't already. Voting will be open until the end of August, and the winner will be announced by the King's Doctoral College in September. The exhibition will be returning to the Exchange in Bush House Northeast Wing throughout August. So please encourage all sorts of people to go and have a look. And just finally, just to sort of round off these events, this fantastic showcase of all this amazing work that you've all been doing. As doctoral students, you make really wide-reaching impacts and contributions to our university life, as well as to research endeavours more broadly. Moreover, through your research in your many different disciplines across King's, your contributions to our world, health, culture and society, as we've seen illustrated today, both verbally and by the beautiful images you've generated, are both important and extremely impactful, locally and more distally. I'd like to thank you all for your contributions today, for winners, supporters. Just the community that I've seen today is just fantastic, and I think we're all very lucky to have you here. Just to say, there's a little bit of opportunity to continue to engage with the Images of Research exhibition and enjoy the remaining refreshments. But thank you all to the competitors of both the competitions and to all of you who've joined to support your colleagues today. Thank you so much for making this an amazing event. And thank you to Nigel Eady for putting it all together and originally coming up with the idea of the 3-minute thesis at King's, which I think has blossomed into this amazing, amazing thing that there are people here who I wouldn't even believe would come, have appeared and watched today. And it's just really turned into something spectacular. So well done, and thank you all very much.